Hey, I'm Pat B.
And I'm Adam Willis.
And I'm just Johnny.
I keep doing it every time. This is the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. Yeah. Thank you for picking up the slack there. I'm having a bad time. Let me get it out of my system. So much better. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. On the side of me is Black Adam Willis.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you set me up, and I don't know if you're going to take over, but
No,
yeah, it is good to be here. I feel you're a little stressed though, Pat. You're looking
Man.
well though, my friend.
I'm just. It's been a
But
bad.
it's Monday.
It's a bad week, and it's only 2 days in. Yeah. Unfortunately, my
Right.
beloved Patriots couldn't quite pull out
Beloved.
another win.
Yeah,
I'm
you
digging
know.
the Patriots, man. I'm still rocking the colors right now.
I get you where you come from. Most of the city is understandably despondent of what
dude.
happened, but it was actually like a great game. But like,
It
how
was, but
upset can you be when you already have 5 rings?
you know what? That's the
I'm
thing.
saying,
though.
like,
This
do
would've
you
been-
weigh it? Is it like on a scale? You're like, oh man, this sucks. It's tough.
Well, there's a
but-
record. This would have set a record that no one's really calling attention to.
Right.
Whereas it would have been Belichick and Brady would be the highest coach quarterback Super Bowl win
Yes.
scores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible what they've done, and it's in sports it's really unheard of. And the tough part when you're into sports and like something happens, say your team loses a championship, you have to see it almost every day, every hour for the next like 2 weeks. You can't turn on the
your
TV,
face.
on the radio. People are talking about it, so every day it's like a constant reminder of how bad you feel. So it's just like, oh,
The shame you had.
especially with
Why?
me, I've been working in bars and stuff like that. So anytime like my
Oh,
team loses,
man.
like it's on Sports Center behind you all the time.
I'm
It's
sorry, man.
constantly there. So yeah,
What's
you
worse
really can't
then,
escape.
when the Cats win and they're really jazzed, excited in your face, or when they lose and then heads are really just up in your stuff, man.
Well, I've seen
What
both.
you know about
I-
fandom? I sat outside and tailgated at -3 degrees or something.
It's tough, man. I've seen both. I've seen your team win, the place goes crazy, and everyone's really excited. It's high fives all around, shots,
Good
and
times.
then you lose at the last minute, and then everybody walks out and is like
Lowest of the low.
gets you. I was working the bar when the Celtics lost to the Lakers, and the last time they played the Lakers in the finals, and it was one of the worst shifts ever. You know what I mean? Because the place is jazzed, everyone's going nuts, and then literally within 5 minutes, everyone has left, and it's pretty much silent. And you're trying to like get through the shift, you still got to work, you know what I mean? But you really just want to go out and smoke a cigarette and cry.
Yeah.
But
I feel the weeks
you
coming
gotta carry it on.
This is
that's
Boston, man. We
tough.
press on.
We do.
Fight the good
We
fight.
do.
We power through.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Speaking of powering through in depression, I turned over there to just Johnny.
You?
No one knows
Hey.
depression like
I'm
this.
crying,
guy.
man.
How you doing there, buddy?
I don't even know why, but I'm crying.
Don't know why?
'Cause I'm depressed.
No. Don't be depressed because we have an awesome show lined up for you, man. We got comics, we got movies, and we got a stellar. Apparently, I'm assuming a stellar game, but you've got the real inside for us coming up as Hellblade.
Senua's Sacrifice.
Senua's
Hellblade.
Sacrifice.
Oh, man. It is a hell of a game.
Uh-huh.
In a
I see what he did
Nice
there.
pun.
I see what he did there.
good or good
Let's go.
not way.
Good. Not. Oh.
Good or good not. That's my new thing.
Hey,
Okay,
grammar's
that
no
sounds
out the window.
awful. So we will have what the hell that means later on in the show. Also, I got to check out Life with Kevin. About
This
the
is not Kevin James or anything, right?
absolutely.
All
not.
right, then we can continue. 'Cause I would
This is
actually left the show.
The prominent gay character who has left
Mhm.
Archie Comics, or not Archie Comics. He's left Riverdale to venture off onto New York and a life of his own. And these are his.
He looks
I'd say
jacked up.
misadventures.
He looks like steroid Archie.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. No, Kevin's no joke. He's a fit young man.
Mm.
And that actually plays into some of the hijinks and shenanigans he gets in. By hijinks and shenanigans, I mean Harvey Weinstein-esque.
Oh,
situation.
no.
Yeah. So I'll give
Really?
you the inside stuff on that in just a minute. But first, I want to also mention, dude, we got to check out Netflix's Mudbound.
We did.
And coming from the light fare of Life with Kevin to just the hard story of Mudbound.
Yeah, it's pretty much, your ups and downs here, you know what I mean? It's a serious, like, racial tension.
Yeah, dude.
And then, hey, what's this guy doing? How much drama can he have?
When I have good times, well, good old fashioned down home.
He missed a
racism
spot at
is
the
waiting
gym.
for you. Yeah. Wait, what? Okay. All right, and of course, let's not forget Venonverse. Dude, I got the peep of this. Johnny got the peep of this. Herb? All right, we are in full force. We're going to give you the inside stuff on Marvel's follow-up, indirect sequel to last year's Spider-Verse, which was a really popular run in the Spider-Man universe. Whoa, I'm dropping things. Herb, I broke camera. All right. Yeah, speaking of the camera there, if anyone's watching on Facebook, you can check us out on the WEMF feed, and we are looking very pretty. And of course, if you're just listening to us, you can also watch us on our own feed at twitch.tv/The Geek Down.
Geek Down.
Yeah. For our French listeners, yeah. All right, but now I'm going to jump right in. Well, first of all, I'm sorry, Herb. I apologize. Our own DJ, Herbie Herb, keeping it sounding amazing.
Hey, guys.
Guy over there. the hyper soft spoken. All right, but now I want to jump right in to Life with Kevin. Like I mentioned, this is from Archie Comics. This is the most recent, most recently released in individual issues, but you can also check out Life with Kevin Volume 1, which is available now. Get it on Comixology digital version or your local comic shop. And it's the story of Kevin Keller, who's left Riverdale. He's taken Veronica with him. Veronica Lodge.
I'm out. She's coming with.
Hey, man, you got to have your people.
One person to grab, right?
You need an entourage. Well, he's the
leaving.
He's the gay friend, so it's not like Archie taking his bottom bitch. That's very inappropriate. I'm sorry. Archie's taking his main squeeze. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. To the new city. But no, he's bringing her on for mutual support because she needs her to have his back. He needs her to have her back. I think that's correct. I'm tongue-tied. It's been a bad day. But what it comes down to is it's been a bad day, but I also got to read a good book. Life with Kevin has a lot of the same fare I'd expect from a 90s sitcom. I even mentioned that in the blurb for this
it's like
episode.
Mad About You style?
Definitely Mad About You, but I was considering the fare more along the lines of like Caroline in the City. You know,
Ooh, that's a deep breath.
Yeah. Or what was Ellen's sitcom before she started doing her daytime talk show? Because
Was it Ellen?
I don't know.
What was it called?
I don't know. There was one with Fred Savage. Either way, it involved journalism. You know, and that was like where the world went. And here, my old folky ass. The first place I went was the short-lived, and by short-lived I mean a single episode finale / spin-off pilot of Clarissa Explains It All, where she went to New York and started her first day as a journalist at some magazine.
Really?
Yep. Well, Kevin's gone to New York, and his very first disastrous first day. In leading into the career, but the first issue is all about his disastrous first day in New York, working at his low-level, floor job.
It seemed like an apt way to start when you move to New York.
Well, you go thinking you're gonna be a legit
never
journalist.
As I'm
gonna cover these stories of political intrigue and social upheaval. And then it's like, okay, so here's how Kim K's butt has expanded this month.
Well, first of all, if you're thinking you're just going to move to New York and just get the great job right out the gate is a fairy tale in itself.
I know people that happened to.
Or have an apartment that's not a closet.
I hate them with a passion.
Right.
Because it's just like, I've struggled in
They're
my
unicorns.
life.
Those things don't exist, really.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to anyway.
And believe it or not, I have stumbled ass backwards into some great positions, surprisingly. Downward dog, doggy style.
Upward facing
something.
something.
The Eiffel Tower. It's great position.
You have stumbled into it.
I've stumbled backwards into them. No, I don't want to take away from the integrity of the story because it's just a fun read. A lot of the action is really fast, but then again, like I mentioned, that I made that equation to 90s sitcoms. It takes place and it's reminiscent of a lot of those because everything moved really fast. People talked really fast, and they got to different places, and you get a lot of story content in a short amount of time. Normally, I would be very against that because if it's a more serious story, that really just robs the content of any kind of weight.
You want it to play out in kind of a more natural,
more realistic at least. Even though we're talking about comics, and even in a comedy, that may not give time to build up to jokes. But the way this plays out, it's an Archie comic. It's meant to be a quick read. It's meant to be a fun read, and horrible stuff happens to him, but also funny stuff happens to him. And there's a good balance I found as I read over time. Like I read the first issue and I wasn't really into it. I'm like, I'm not. What's going on? Like, let me flesh this out and stuff. But as it went on, and by I think issue 4, I was really digging it. I'm like, oh, I see what they're getting at.
Right.
And this is really meshing with me. Even though I'm not the target audience, I really had a great time reading this.
Nice.
You know, and I'm surprised. I think I'm too old.
I always like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, am I really the appropriate person to be reading or watching this?
Mhm.
And then it's your favorite thing you're watching every night, falling asleep to it on Netflix.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what the good thing about it was? I'm giving this thumbs up. First of all, this was just a fun read, and I kind of needed it on a bad day.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's it's important as well. You know, when you're kind of bummed out and you stumble upon something, especially if you think it's not gonna be affecting for you.
Yeah, man. I got up, I stubbed a toe, I walked outside to get the paper, the door like shut behind me, and then as I'm walking,
You locked out. Then somebody calls the cops. You're trying to break into your own apartment.
no, I know enough about that. Black man in America, we can't have that. No, so I'm walking to my neighbor's place to see if I can get the spare that they're holding, and it starts raining on me. It was fun,
One
fun
cloud
time.
just on you.
One
Right.
cloud just following me there. As some guy with a trombone just happened to walk by. Bum, 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 bum. I don't know where he came from. There's no band. Anyways, but no, Life with Kevin is a fun read. It's a good story. It's from Archie Comics. It's out right now. It's available. I recommend it. It's just
Archie's got this weird resurgence over the years too. Obviously, they got the show Riverdale, but like, really a big
there's new cartoon
pushback
Riverdale's
with
popular,
Archie. You know
live
what I
action.
mean? It's interesting.
Well, they're doing interesting things. Archie's one of those series that they'll never let die, and I usually hate those.
Right, but it was like kind of
I-
dead
I-
just in public eye. You know what I mean? People like, I think most
Man.
people would be like, unless you're like really in the know, but most
Yeah.
people would be like, oh, they still make those?
Well, that's because
And then they decided to kind of like, hey, let's breathe some new life in
you know what it is. They're like the cigarette companies, man. They got to get them hooked early.
They do.
You know, when they find
true.
kids when they're really young and they
Uh-huh.
give them that first free Archie comic, I think they still come around to schools. And you know that little box you used to get of there'd be like a free deodorant thing. There'd be a free box of
Sticks
soup
like
preps.
this big, you know, they got 3 inches.
Yeah, just they give them out to fifth graders. Just hey, this is a thing, and never mind that these are all brand products that we're trying to hook you in with. You know, that's why
But it's-
Coca-Cola is sponsoring free
It's
gifts.
reading, you know what I
for-
mean? I
for
think people
10-year-olds.
overlook it, you know what I mean? As long as they're,
True.
doing something constructive.
True, because I
Probably
was
not
reading
that
stuff like
unhealthy.
Bunicula and stuff when I was age appropriate for this stuff. But this is a bit more mature. Kevin Keller. This is for slightly older audiences. Not too old, but a little older than your average. Will Archie, won't Archie, put a finger in Betty or Veronica type audiences.
Teenager stuff.
And what it really, and this really presents it in a more lighthearted, but I don't know, damn amusing light. And I really harkened back to the sitcom thing because it felt like reading an issue of a transcript of Will and Grace.
That's what I was just gonna say. It sounds like a
Between
a
Kevin
teenage
and
Will and
Veronica.
Grace, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Which
that.
is you're
sense.
down with that show too.
It's a good show.
Are
you hating on Will and
I
Grace
am
again?
not. I did not say a damn thing about Will and Grace. I have
You know-
not watched any of that. Maybe that's why.
You know they brought it back, right?
I do.
So you've got even more content to catch up on.
It's I got seasons.
Yeah,
I got
come on,
seasons
man.
waiting.
Woody Harrelson was on an episode.
Was he?
He was on a few, actually. Yeah.
I like
Woody
Woody.
Harrelson was on a few. I want to say Tova Borgnine. That's not who I'm talking about. Patty Lupone.
It's
I
like
don't know- I
Topher
don't know-
Borgnine. It's like Topher Grace and Ernest Borgnine. That's a good
No,
mashup.
Tova Borgnine. You know Ernest Borgnine's daughter there.
If I saw her, yeah, by name. No.
All right. There's Candace Bergen. Candace Bergen
Okay,
had a long run there. Also your boy. Why can't I never remember the man's name? Ron.
Swanson.
Yeah.
The guy who played Ron
Yeah.
Swanson.
What
Nick
is his
Offerman.
name? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're married.
They are. That's why he
Megan
was
Mullally
there.
and-
Long
yeah.
before that mustache, Nick Offerman did a couple of roles on Will and Grace. Not only that, they brought him back for the latest season.
Yeah, he's the Parks and Rec guy. I think most people know him as. But
Well,
it's
now
like
he
if
is,
you
yeah.
if you go to Sundance, you're gonna see like 15 movies where he plays someone's father.
Yeah, it was
He's got a father.
McDonald, right? It was one of the McDonald brothers in the movie with
With Adam Sandler.
what's his name? It came out like Michael Keaton. He was the main character and had that guy
Michael Keaton
Ron
had
Burgundy or whatever.
Wake Up Ron
Not
Burgundy.
Ron Burgundy. Whatever, the mustache man.
You are the worst
Yeah,
clue giver.
He was playing as
there's
one of the McDonald's brothers.
And I could use that as a jumping off point.
Oh,
if you
you're
gave me
talking
more
about the founder.
The
that
founder,
movie.
that's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
No,
all
the
you
starting-
had to say.
The starting of McDonald's. Yes,
Yeah, that
yes,
is the-
he was in that movie.
Had
But
you said that, we could have gotten there. You gave he was Michael Keaton was in there with the guy with the mustache.
And McDonald's, that should be all you need.
You said
That's-
the McDonald
that's-
brothers, not McDonald's. That's where I think we got thrown.
Oh.
But yes, he is actually becoming quite the accomplished character actor. But he's
Oh.
always playing. I think
Michael
it was
Keaton?
not
Yeah.
Michael. Michael's talking about Nick
Michael
Offerman.
Keaton's a great
Yeah.
character actor.
Mr.
You see
Mustache.
Birdman?
We're talking about Nick Offerman. He's
Okay,
becoming
all
the
Nick Offerman, the
accomplished.
manliest man in America.
He was I saw the movie The
Taking
Hero.
up the
I
mantle from
reviewed.
Tom Selleck. When you think mustaches now, I no longer think Tom Selleck.
What's
I
your top
think Nick
5
Offerman.
mustaches of all time?
Top 5
Top
mustaches.
5.
Raul Julia, Gomez mustache,
Ra-
that thin.
Yeah, but like he's
Yeah.
not known just for the stash.
Oh, people that are known just for the stash?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Adolf Hitler. Got to be right there.
I'm talking about movies and actors and things like
Freddie
that.
Mercury, number
Charlie
one.
Chaplin, the exact same
Movies.
mustache. Freddie Mercury's a good one, but he's not an actor. He's
Doesn't matter.
a musician. Okay, his
Well,
mustache.
it does
in
when we're making a
general is
list of
Freddie
just
Mercury.
actors.
Okay, well, I got a Charlie Chaplin just because I'm old.
Okay.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
a
that.
good one.
I can never do the thing where anyone's watching this on Twitch, you can see me embarrassing myself by shifting my lip.
All right. Tom
Ineffectively.
Selleck, obviously.
Tom Selleck,
Burt Reynolds.
Burt, for the
Oh,
mustache.
definitely
though?
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds. Yeah.
Burt
Not for
Reynolds.
the mustache.
Yeah.
Not for the mustache. Have you ever seen any of those movies where he shaved his mustache?
Yeah, I don't
Or
want
even better, any of those roles from before he grew the mustache.
Mm.
Like one of my favorite roles ever is him on a really bad episode of The Twilight Zone, where a modern writer, modern in the 50s, is stuck for inspiration, and he wishes he had a muse, and he actually conjures up, like through the magic of The Twilight Zone, conjures up William Shakespeare. And
Bill Shakespeare, eh?
yeah, and Shakespeare tries to write for TV. And he realizes the actors in his day were very different. They were egalitarian and blah, blah, blah,
Laurence Olivier.
versus the actors today who were just dicks. And one of my favorites is Burt Reynolds plays like the young buff male lead,
Mhm.
who's basically just a meathead who's there because he looks good.
Right.
And he walks up to Shakespeare, and his whole interaction is so what are you supposed to be, some kind of guy?
That's the best descriptor ever. Yeah.
That's great.
So, but he's not in your top. Okay, so this is mine.
How's before
Yeah.
the mustache?
It's Selleck,
Uh-huh.
Burt Reynolds,
Uh-huh.
Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers, good
Yeah.
one. Oh,
That's a good
all right,
stash.
all right.
That's okay. That's I think a top three. What's that? Maybe Alex Trebek.
Alex Trebek.
He's not an actor,
Ah.
but like he's on this. He's on
He's
the
also
TV.
shaved the mustache now.
But I
man.
know,
The
but
dream is
I ain't
over.
watching Jeopardy for that. But like, yeah, I think he's up there.
Mhm.
Oh man, who else?
Superman.
CGI.
Stop it right there. Stop it. Okay. You stuck for a fifth one?
Johnny Depp.
No,
Sacha
I'm
Baron
just
Cohen.
like
Wait, Johnny-
you gotta have.
Yeah, that is
The
that's
Pirates
not-
of the Caribbean.
that
Man.
is not
Yeah,
okay.
but yes, I'm talking about like career-wise.
Big Lebowski.
If you're gonna be known for the stash, you gotta have like the
Okay,
stash
no,
throughout.
He had like
part of it.
6 or
That's not a
7
bad one.
movies.
What's his name from the Double Deuce? The cowboy, the cowboy from the dude from Big Lebowski.
Sam Elliott. You're
Sam
right.
Elliott, yeah,
You're
Sam
right. Yeah,
Elliott.
that's 5.
He's a legit
Thank you. That's
That
actually
was
the
like a
name.
shield,
That's the
dude.
name I was searching for. Yeah,
Yeah.
these guys are. If you see them without a mustache, you know something's wrong.
Alright, I gotta
Do you have
say,
cancer?
Sam Elliott.
I'm just saying, like, if you don't have a mustache, like,
well, because he played
Yeah,
that.
right.
He played on Thank You for Smoking, where he
Mhm.
played that cancer patient, and he did it damn well.
and he did actually. He was in the movie The Contender, and he didn't have a mustache. He was a politician in that,
That
and it was
sounds
like
wrong.
it was awful. Yeah,
Wait, did he shave the mustache for it?
he did.
When was this?
Yeah, there was like 2003 or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a while. He's growing it back since.
Movie
What was
The
that
Contender,
actor in
Scared for a
Dallas Buyers Club?
That was Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey.
Hey, he rocks a good mustache in whatever movies that he has him in.
You can pull him out.
He doesn't usually wear one though.
But I'm saying, like, Sam Elliott, I mean, that's like 30 years of mustache.
Yeah, that's
You
like,
know what I mean?
that reminds me of there was an old episode of Conan when he still did late night. Conan O'Brien. Yeah, when one of the dudes in the band had La Bamba
La Bamba
had this mustache that he hadn't shaved. Like that was his look. Or he hadn't shaved it or trimmed it or anything. Well, he trimmed it, but he hadn't shaved it in like 20 years, like 15, 20 years. And they bet him on the show that if something happened, he would shave his mustache. And he shaved it on air.
Wow.
And they gave him an
That's good
electric
TV.
shaver. And it took like a good 4 minutes of just back
Breaks
and forth.
the blade.
It was
Yeah,
just that
sure.
thick. It was grown in like this
It's like you're
forest on his
trimming
face.
Lloyd Christmas's toenails in Dumb and Dumber, and you're like, "Ah," like getting the jaws of life.
Well, it was
trying
one
to
of those that
get these
even
things.
after he shaved it, it was just a completely different skin color under there. It was that, yeah. The
Yeah,
sun
it's,
had
it's
never
almost not
seen
even
that
flesh
flesh.
at that point. It's something weird.
All right, my 5 is Charlie Chaplin. Tom Selleck has to be there.
Yeah.
Nick Offerman.
Okay.
I mentioned Gomez Adams, even though you
Raul
poo-pooed
Julia.
that one.
I didn't
Raul
poo-poo
Julia.
it,
Yep.
but I'm saying.
And Wilford Brimley.
Ooh.
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good one.
solid push broom.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. This big walrus-looking thing.
By the way, because you mentioned Wilford Brimley, did you remember when the movie Hard Target with Van Damme, and he
Yeah, he
plays
had that
his-
Cajun accent.
his grandfather or his uncle something, and he
Yeah.
shoots a guy with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, he was badass.
Like Wilford Brimley with a Cajun accent
Was it
shoots
bow
a
and arrow?
guy
I
with
thought
a
it was
bow and
crossbow.
arrow. No,
Bow and
like
arrow?
legit bow and arrow. I'm like,
Okay, it's been a while.
how weird of a point in like
It's
movie
all-
history is that?
It's a Cajun movie. It's a movie where Wilford
What
Brimley.
chance I still have your shotgun?
He's
He
playing-
comes out with
he's
his
playing a
shotgun,
Cajun
and
guy.
then Van Damme goes on this.
Yeah,
like,
he's wielding a shotgun, riding a horse through the bayou.
Yeah.
There are very few things in life are more badass than that.
Wilford Brimley shooting a guy with a Cajun accent and with a bow and arrow. Yeah, that's just, I don't know. That's John Woo at his most. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, seriously, man.
Casting was like, what the hell are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
So Life with Kevin.
I gave
We-
Life with Kevin a thumbs
we
up
did.
like
We got
ages
the
ago.
thumbs up.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
we
review
paid
is over.
attention.
Life with Kevin was really good. I highly recommend it. It's out now from Archie Comics. You can buy it in individual issues, or Volume 1 is available as a collected trade. Now I'm going to kick it over to my man, Just Johnny.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's right. Because you okay?
I thought we were bound.
I know.
Okay.
I said the wrong name. I was trying to backpedal gracefully, and you cut me off. Thank you
Sorry.
for that. No, it's okay. Black Adam Willis.
Yeah.
You got to check out Netflix's latest.
It came out a little while ago,
multi-award-winning
and now
Mudbound.
it's been nominated for a few Oscars, including Mary J. Blige's, which is
Indeed.
actually nominated for
Oh, two. I didn't know.
two, I
two.
believe, because she does this original song.
Oh,
for this movie.
I played over the credits, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. I
And-
did not know that.
This is one of those movies that's like you think of racial tensions in the Deep South post World War II. It's just like, oh man, like this will probably be good, but you kind of got to gear yourself up for a movie like that. It's like before I saw like 12 Years a Slave or something like that. I'm like, I know this can be great, but I'm not gonna walk into this or out of this really happy.
No,
you know what I mean?
no,
and you're
no.
kind of
It
just
just
like you got to
looks-
brace yourself too. And
All
this
the
is-
images of this is like really, really sour looking Southern people. Their faces are dirty, and their expressions just scream despair the
Yes.
entire time. And like, oh, I guess feel good movie.
Well, Mudbound, directed by Dee Reese. I believe she did a movie called Pariah a few years ago. I hadn't checked it out, but I hear it. It's a great film. But this is her newest film, starring Garrett Hedlund, who plays Jamie. Jason Clarke who plays Henry. They're brothers. Carey Mulligan is in this. Mary J. Blige, like I said. Jonathan Banks is the racist old father.
Oh
of the two
yeah, yeah.
brothers.
If anyone doesn't remember him, he was on Breaking Bad.
He was Breaking. He played Mike Ehrman Trout in
Mhm.
Breaking Bad.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Also,
and he
for
plays
those-
like the giant racist prick, which he's,
Oh yeah, no,
he's
I hate
great
him.
at,
I
but
hate
you
him in
hate
this.
him, yeah.
I hate him so
which
much.
I hope it doesn't taint any of the other roles. Like sometimes you see him like I hate you.
I've never seen him play a
Like
likable guy. He was on Las Vegas as
he was
a
in Community as he was kind of funny.
okay. You know who he'll always be to me?
What's up?
You remember Beverly Hills Cop?
Mm.
He's the henchman that shoots Mikey Tandino in the hallway. That's who he'll always be, and I hate him.
Interesting. Yeah.
I can't get that image. Well, to be fair, I was like 4 and I saw him kill a guy on screen, so it's kind of hard to
Yeah, it
shake
messed you
that
up a
image
little
off.
bit.
Yeah,
Sure.
but no, he is ultra hateful in this.
And Jason Mitchell, who Ronzel, who he's one of the other. Basically, this movie is a post World War II story of racial tensions in the Deep South. Starts out with these two families, one of them white, one of them black, and they're both working this land. And the land is not really the best for actually bringing in your crop, and it's basically trying to navigate the Jim Crow era. Really, this racial divide is very clear, and they're basically trying to survive
Coexist.
and
Really.
coexist. While it's going on, Garrett Hedlund's character and Jason Mitchell's character are really kind of trying to get out of there, and they find their opportunity by going to war.
Yes.
And so they do, and when they get back, they kind of have this bond based on their shared alienation
Which is
with everything. It's kind of this
something that other movies have
PTSD.
employed. I've never seen it in this environment.
Right, and it's in this
The
environment,
soldiers
so it's
become
like
friends.
they kind of become friends, but at the same time, their friendship is really like a point of contention amongst everybody in this town, based on one of them's black and one of them's white.
You know what it reminds
And
me
so
of?
it's just like these people are trying to bring in their crops. However, it's just like that kind of seems secondary to these people's story and what they're going through. But what's this remind you of? Sorry.
Oh, do you remember American History X?
Yeah.
The story was a lot like that, where you get two people who, like, they start off the movie, they're on total opposite sides.
Right.
They're totally of the mindset, and it's through like a mutual experience that kind of throws them. Well, and this one doesn't directly throw them together. They share the experience, but they don't interact during the war.
Right.
It's after the war. One family
'Cause they
works
both
for
went
the
they've
other
seen
family,
some
so
stuff,
they're there.
basically. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they're, the horrors of war impacted them in such a way that they bond because they're the only ones who know what each one of them is going through.
Yeah.
The only
So
one
that
that can
they build a
truly
mutual
empathize.
respect.
Right. And so it's them, like I said,
Like when I met Adam in Vietnam, man.
Yeah, you know, and I dragged you out of the woods that one time.
What do you mean you dragged me out of the woods?
Say both. I don't know.
I was there to rescue you. Okay, this man had holed himself up in this town, and he got real.
I was
fat.
covering myself with dirt, is what was really happening.
Yeah. Talking about the horror, singing songs.
Yes.
What was your name?
Old spirituals.
Yeah, he was really, really fixated on napalm in the morning and the aromas. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, man, we went back. And we lived life. But anyways, this movie it's some really, you know, troubling, dark stuff. It's really, you know, apt for this time, given, you know what I mean, what we're experiencing here in America. But
I love the realism. I don't think I was ready for.
It's a beautiful movie to look at, though, like the way it's shot and these deep greens and all this like brown mud and this horrible looking land that doesn't really yield, you know, anything. And it's shot in such a beautiful way, but it's really in stark contrast of how dark and ugly and some stuff that people's attitudes are. You know what I mean? And you
that
see
really
this,
drives home the image of these people work in the dirt all
literally
day. Like
in
the name
dirt
Mudbound
all day. Yeah.
is really apt because well, first of all, for the dark and for the south. I will almost say desert, but it wasn't a desert, but it's like hot.
And it's just
notoriously
disgusting,
just
and it's
dry,
like
but it rained a lot in this movie,
and it just doesn't end either. Like, this is your life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The best
muddy,
you can hope for is that, you know,
backbreaking labor day in day out,
and it's just like this tension between everybody, and it's really kind of like the horrors of everyday life of just trying to, you know, put food on the table, but also just, you know what I mean, just find any bit of happiness too. You know what I mean, some connectedness as well.
So then tell me,
it's just
who
like,
moved you in this sucker? Like,
I think, you know, I think the role, everybody, you know, played their part really well. I mean, Jason Mitchell, I thought, did excellent. You know what I mean?
He was spectacular.
And Garrett Hedlund as well. They, you know, they're the two people from each family that went to war.
Wait,
and it's very subtle.
Is
Hedlund
the same dude that played the brother in Get Out?
No.
Okay, all right, because I couldn't place the face and I didn't have time to look it up, but it looked like him, and I was just like, if that's him, the range on this dude is amazing.
I'm trying to think of a movie he was in that you would know, but he's got quite a few. You know, he's got a pretty good resume at this point in time.
Well, he was great.
He was great. I think that, you know, his very, you know, nuanced, kind of understated role. It's not like that big, you know, grand speeches and stuff like that. A lot of it's told with, like, you know, the subtleties of the movement, the eyes, you know what I mean? It's more of like a quiet, you know, performance opposed to like the, you know, these, like I said, these grand speeches and stuff like that. These declarations of, you know, racial stuff like that, you know, and, you know, soapboxing or anything like that. But
it wrenches the emotions from you and just lets you sit with them for a bit.
Yeah. And you see how, like, you know, the racial stuff, like, could be in your family and it can poison everything, because we're talking about, like, you know, what was his name we were just talking about?
Hedlund? Mitchell?
No, the father, Jonathan Banks, the
Oh, yeah.
from Breaking Bad. He's the racist, toxic person that infects everything. Because all he does, he's really this background character that really just is questioning everything people do and constantly badgering and having this really negative type outlook, and that really just seeps into everything and just kind of brings it down, and just this really despicable man.
There's no redemption for him. Like,
no, he's too far gone. There's no saving him, and once you understand that, it's just like, oh, what a prick.
Yeah. The only saving grace there was this movie takes place in 18 whatever, and he's dead now.
Yes.
Oh, in 19 whatever, but he's dead now.
Yes.
I will say, if anyone doesn't remember Mitchell, I just have to like flash people back to Straight Outta Compton. He was Eazy-E. He did a great job in that, and for some reason, that's the only role I can flash back to him, because I think this is his best role.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these young guys. You're going to see a lot of good stuff out of him, and this movie, like I said, is very understated, and he nailed it, man. You know what I mean? It's
absolutely,
he did it with some quiet grace, and this movie's it's heavy, and it's really a fascinating watch, and I think you should all probably check it out. It's free on Netflix. So. It's up for some awards, in Oscar time. But it's definitely worth checking out. I'll give it a thumbs up, 100%.
Cool. I'll give it a thumbs up too. And I do have to say, if anyone checks out the trailer for this, the trailer is very misleading. Because I watched the trailer and it seemed like it was going to be along the same lines of like a Candyman type thing. You know, a black dude comes back from the war. he's familiar with a different way of life because that's how he's been living, European for the last few years. And then maybe he looks at a white woman the wrong way, and then maybe she looks back, and then
maybe
that's where the turmoil comes from.
Sure.
And it's good about it keeps you guessing because I went into this thinking, okay, we realize this is going to be the good guy we root for, okay, and this is going to be where the turmoil lies, and this is going to be this situation, that's going to be that situation, and most of it's not.
No, it's and I think that would have been a reductive way to go about it. You know what I mean? Because it's not just like black and white. This is a bad guy. This is a good guy. This is a racist guy. This is like a guy.
Yeah, no, you know what
I mean? It's more
tropes.
Yeah, it's more abstract than that. There's a lot more to it. And like I said, when you have this father character, and you brought up the movie American History X before, and there's a great moving scene in that film as well, where you see the seeds of racism planted. When they're sitting around the dinner table, and they have the father, and the father's played by Corey Matthews' father from Boy Meets World.
Yeah, so
you see him, but he's and he's talking about books, written by black authors. He's like, well, why are you reading books by black authors? Is it Black History Month? He's like, why are you replacing books by white authors? And that's he says that's N-word bullshit.
Yeah, and the
you know what I
seeds
mean? And
but
that's the seeds that
are really what affects
that's
the kids
seeds
over
you
time.
get, and this is kind of in the same way. This one is to the extreme.
He was just way more in your face. There wasn't like subtle seeds planted.
This is old deep South racism, so that's just it's just right in your face. It's the language is there.
This
it's
was
not
a hard
there's nothing
movie to
subtle
watch,
about it.
but this was a good movie to watch, and I think everyone on that list deserves to be up for the awards that they're up for.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Like I said, I give it a thumbs up. I would definitely suggest watching it.
Also, real quick, what was the name of
it's long too.
What was the name of the wife?
Kelly Mulligan.
Kelly Mulligan, thank you.
Yes.
I couldn't place her face, but I knew I had seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
And she's done a fair amount of stuff, but she's a British actress.
She's great. She's done a lot of movies.
She's really good. I haven't seen anything else but this one role. I saw a couple of things, but I didn't recognize her in them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I recognized her from one role. Any of our staunch Doctor Who geeks out there, any of our fellow Whovians will remember her from the single episode appearance, a very memorable appearance as Sally Sparrow in the episode "Don't Blink." And it's an episode of Doctor Who without Doctor Who. Okay. It revolves around her and this guy she co-owns a shop with. And I'm like, it's ingrained where her hair is different in this. She's a little older, but that was definitely her. And I'm like, the face is like burned in my memory, and I can't place why. She carried that episode very well.
She's great. She did the movie Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen Brothers movie.
I remember that movie. I don't remember her from
actually, Garrett Hedlund's in that movie too. So both actors are in that film, and she was.
I think they're overshadowed by the cocaine-addled John Goodman.
No, it was heroin.
John Goodman.
That's why they keep stopping in the bathroom every half hour.
I still wonder, did that poor cat ever get out? We're going off on a tangent here. I apologize, but in the movie Inside Llewyn Davis, he dies in a car with a cat. And Llewyn just leaves him on the side of the road while it's raining.
Well, I mean, they get pulled over, then Garrett Hedlund gets arrested, so he's literally like abandoned in a car, and they took the keys with him.
Yeah.
So he has to hitchhike back.
But he locked the cat in the car. Did the cat live?
I don't know, man.
He locked Schrodinger's cat in the car.
Yes.
Did the cat live or did the cat die?
Well, that's the odyssey of the cat. I think the cat's name was what? Like Odysseus or something like that.
Geez. The cat's name was Fate, ironically.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gone way too long.
Not too long.
I think it was a good bit to go into, man, because no conversation is complete without remnants of Inside Llewyn Davis.
Right.
One of my boring movies.
Oh my god, I love that movie so much.
I fell asleep. It was.
This will always be a point of contention between us two, and I loved it, and I will not hear anything else. So we're moving on.
I heard so much good stuff. A lot from you about this. Wait, what are you doing? My audio went out. Oh,
I was hanging.
You were hanging, bro. Wow. Okay.
Your mic's still out?
No, I'm good with these anyway.
I was trying to turn you off.
Oh, thank you for that. All right. Well, let's talk about Venonverse real quick. I know Herb, you got my back on this. You got to read Venonverse?
Yeah.
Okay. And Johnny?
Yep, I read it.
All right. Anyone want to break down what Venonverse was?
So Venonverse was apparently take all the Marvel characters and put them all into one giant collection, give them a symbiote, or a symbiote derived from Venom, or venomize them, and then put them up against a bunch of anti-Venom enemies and see how they all just fight each other and how everything plays out.
All right, spoken like a true DC Comics reader. He's got the general idea, but this is Marvel's follow-up to Spider-Verse, which came out last year and brought all the different Spider-Men from the different multiverse worlds together to fight one common enemy, which is a family of entities that are hunting them. In the same vein, this is a new, I don't know, a new breed of creature, a new species of creature that's hunting Venom symbiotes specifically, and not just
Through the multiverse.
Through the multiverse, correct. So, the Venom Doctor Strange brings together different iterations of Venom, and where we join the story is when our own Earth 616 Eddie Brock Venom is brought into the mix. And we get the story from there as to how they're being hunted, as to the specific parameters that these creatures need before they can absorb a symbiote, and the role we play versus the role the Venoms are to play. And also, they're in dire, dire straits. And I read this thinking, man, Spider-Verse was badass. But the only thing that Spider-Verse was damn good. The only thing that bugged me was that I hated the villains in that. I'm like, okay, Marvel's falling back on that trope of the grand enemy is either some overpowered, pompous space being, or some overpowered, high class, ultra waspy, pompous, erudite, aristocratic villain. You know, like things like Damon, what's that Sebastian Shaw?
The Hellfire.
Yes, thank you. Like things like the Hellfire Club. You know, it's like everyone, it's 2018, but I'm wearing an ascot. You know, it's like. And I liked the concept that they got away from this. I'm like, okay, they're doing something different. They're learning from the mistakes, those few mistakes of Spider-Verse. Now they're also giving it to us with the more badass character of Venom. You know, and some of my favorite Elseworlds were the ones where the Venom symbiote took over other people. Like my personal favorite, which I have to this day, still shrink wrapped, and I've got the little Kubrick figure that came with it. The Venom symbiote. Instead of going to Eddie Brock, went to the Punisher.
Yeah, that's a classic.
That is badass, dude. It's awesome. Yeah. Also, the only person to will the symbiote into submission was Frank Castle. I dug that. He was not in Venonverse. Why was he not in Venonverse? That would have been dope.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But Marvel's been doing a lot of stuff with the symbiotes lately, man. There's been
I could have sworn he was in Venonverse. It was like the first Venom character to die.
No, he didn't have the wait.
Yeah, he was the first one to die. He said like they all crashed. The Hulk, the Hulk one came in.
Yeah,
and then he was like, "Everyone, get out!" Well, this is like, I don't know.
It's not on the first page or anything.
It's not on the first page, but it's like
Jack
5 pages
gets
in or
his
something.
ass handed to him. That's fairly
That was beautiful.
All right, no, okay, maybe he was. If he was, he's like the only one they didn't shout out, which is a shame because I like that Venom, and he looks different from the original design. Although I will say, if that was him, I like his design in this better. I like nobody else because everybody else is just kind of thrown in. And my main beef with this, and I do have beef with this book, I'll say it right now because it's an awesome concept that I think they failed to deliver on. And maybe that's because Spider-Verse was like 100 and something issues, and Venomverse was only 6.
You're bound to miss some stuff.
I think so, but they tried to cram what's obviously a larger story into a really short run, which can be done. Brian Bendis did this years ago with Elektra.
But you tend to get too much exposition and it's a little convoluted.
Well, it's not even exposition. They just like they have a plan, they enact a plan, then something goes wrong, and then they start from scratch. And then they have a plan, they enact a plan, something goes wrong, they start from scratch. That same formula in every single issue. And
5 issues.
5 issues?
Yep.
I read the trade. I thought it was 6, 5. My bad. My bad. In 5 issues. That's much worse.
Yeah.
Because then they
worse than I thought.
You just press fast forward on the stuff.
It was pretty much that.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, but first of all, before I go off on my tirade, what did y'all think? Because I remember before we had a couple of words back and forth, me and Herb. But Johnny, you awfully silent over there, man.
Yeah, I do not read comics at all. And I was reading a different kind of comic this past weekend.
Porno comics, yeah, we know.
It was actually Tank Girl, so you're not far off.
You mean Cherry Pop as Tank Girl?
And I read this last night, and going from Tank Girl, not to say that what was in Tank Girl was absolutely fantastic, but man, there was actually something to latch onto in Tank Girl. And this one, it was just, here's a bunch of characters, let's put them all together and make them butt heads with each other, and not have sort of an intricate, elaborate story or have any intelligent writing whatsoever.
Well, I won't say it's unintelligent, but you're right. One of the main failings is that it's just haphazardly slapped together.
It is, yes. It is that, and it was constantly reminding the reader as if it's their first time reading anything Marvel, reminding them of
Yeah.
like, here's this character and here's their backstory. It would do it very quickly,
Well,
but
this-
it was
it
like
seems like
unnecessary. Like,
Mhm.
if you're gonna read Venonverse and you see all these characters, you're reading it for all the characters that are in it. You're not unfamiliar with the material, especially with how big Marvel
But
is.
that's a flaw, I think. It relies
It is a flaw,
really
yeah.
heavily on your like knowledge, on your foreknowledge
Oh, yeah.
of the Marvel characters and your desire to see that. Okay, wow, you mean they got Venom Captain America? Oh snap! Because I know all about Captain America and I know all about Venom. So go. It's like, no, let me see some stuff on panel that's cool, and then introduce me to these characters. You know, it's kind of like okay, it's kind of like a movie sequel where it's like it really relies on introducing characters that you know by you being intimately familiar with and completely enamored with the previous picture. And the best example I can come up with is The Mummy Returns with Brendan Fraser.
Yeah,
It's an old movie now, but at the start of that movie, the first one was good. They introduced cool characters and stuff. And the second movie, when they introduce a new character, it's like, well, the previous characters we knew, they start off the movie. You may know them, but we give a quick introduction of them. And then something big happens, and then I can't get off camera, but I'll just kind of like, and then da-da, new character comes in, but it's that guy you remember. Remember that guy? Hey, it's that guy. They do something, and then da-da, another character comes in from the previous movie, and it's like, oh no, not you. And then da-da, and then third character. Oh man, he's here too. What's going on? And it was
It's like a
of
sequel.
over and over again.
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
stupid. It was kind of like that.
It kind of fell flat with me, dude. Like I wasn't a big fan about it, man.
Mhm.
Like I kept comparing it to Remender's run where you had like Agent Venom going around.
Yeah,
it was like the
that
darkest thing going on, and then you know, Marvel always returns to like normality. Of course, Eddie Brock had to be made Venom again, and it was just
Wolverine's
like,
gonna come
I
back
don't
to life
know.
at some
yeah,
point.
you know, so
yeah.
I know the movie's coming up, dude, but this event was like. It was like a little rush.
You know what
It's
I'd
like-
compare this to? I'd compare this to Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Oh my god!
It's pretty
movie.
much like that kind of plot through and through. It reminded me of that so hard.
Well, that's unfortunate because what actually plays out in this is the Venom symbiotes are being taken over, and the different Venoms are being brought from various realities to fight this common enemy. So I was really hoping to see the different strengths of the different Venoms. You've got Venom, Doc Ock. You've got Venom, Captain America. I mentioned Venom, Deadpool. You know, Venom, Venom, Spider Gwen.
Yep.
You know, they got really interesting with the
Explain
Venoms. They
the
introduced
Venom symbiote too.
Well,
like
yeah.
what does it add to those?
Okay,
characters?
years ago, well, there's several different, well,
Right.
there's like 3 or 4 different backstories. I'll give one. Spider-Man, during the Secret Wars, came in contact with an alien. This is just one backstory because there's a few different ones.
What's
Came
the
in
main
contact with an alien goo on a
Yep.
spaceship that they found abandoned on this planet that several heroes from the Marvel Universe were brought to fight a secret war. So he touched that, it covered his body, and there was a sentient voice talking to him. He didn't quite understand what it was, but this new goo gave him new powers and new abilities. Well, enhanced powers and abilities akin to his own. He brought that to Earth, and through a series of events, he realized the suit was a symbiotic being, a being that coexisted with him, but was also feeding off him.
Right. So he had
so it was taking over his mind.
Spider-Man
slowly,
powers basically, but
he was also being controlled by this thing. Not completely controlled, but it was influencing. It was like a devil on the shoulder type.
Right.
Thing. So he decided this thing's making me be someone I don't want to be, and he got rid of it. When he got rid of it, Eddie Brock was his rival journalist who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the symbiote bonded to him after leaving Peter Parker, after leaving Spider-Man. And once it took over Eddie Brock, it retained Spider-Man's powers, but also like and knowledge, like things he knew about himself. Like, as in, once it took over Eddie Brock, this other guy, he instantly knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man because the symbiote now knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Spider sense didn't work.
Exactly, yeah, because it assumes it's the same guy.
You know,
So that's when Venom was born. Eddie Brock then became Venom, a guy who hates Peter Parker, knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man and having enhanced powers, the enhanced powers of Spider-Man.
I don't know, man.
That's
I think
where the symbiote came from.
it was handled a little. You know what, dude? I saw the hype happen because they were releasing all these like Venom variant covers like right before the event. Dude, you know, like they were really trying to pump you up for this, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I really did like the Spider-Verse going into it. I thought they were gonna put a little bit, you know, make a little bit.
I hate the concept
deeper, man.
of variant covers because they're selling you the exact same book with different art at the exact same price.
I know,
which
but
means you're
this
just paying for things over and over if you want to collect them. And it's a push for marketing purposes, but
Yeah.
also really gassing up the fans for what often turns out to be a letdown story.
Yeah.
And they gave this someone
Get
such a
together,
hard
Marvel.
push, and Spider-Verse was so good, but I think they were just banking on the concept of Spider-Verse was great, Venom's cool, people are going to buy this regardless, which, I mean, a lot of them did.
Yeah.
I know folks who got these issues before the trade came out, and I think it was a letdown. I'm saddened to say that this story, it delivered a capable story, but I got to give it a thumbs down because a capable story was, one, not enough for this, and two, not something I'd accept from a book that I paid for in the first place.
Well, a capable story is what you should expect. That should be
No,
a given.
you should expect
Yeah.
You should expect a good story. Hope for a great story, and a capable story is one of those ones where you think, well, I read an issue and it didn't do much, but at least I kind of got entertained for a bit. And this one banked on people are going to buy several issues of the same ones. They want to collect the covers, and they're going to be talking about this for months and all this stuff. And I think maybe they just handed it to mediocre writers, which is a bummer
They wrapped
because
it up too early.
it was, you know what? I take that back. You're right. You are absolutely right. It's not that the writers were mediocre because I think there was legit effort here.
Yeah, like,
Good
it could've been
ideas.
so much better, man.
And had it been twice as long, it actually could have been really good because they would have had time to flesh out ideas. Plans could have been enacted. It wouldn't have been such quick back and forth to ultimate failure. Right. They could have taken time on each of the characters. Dude, they had both Venom X23 and Venom Wolverine in here. And they didn't talk to each other once. I'm like, let me see the father-daughter dynamic. How was X23 dealing with the death of her father? How was Wolverine Venom dealing with the universe where his daughter probably didn't exist? They have a Sabretooth Venom. He never once meets Wolverine Venom. They have
missed opportunities.
Yeah, they have the Wolverine Venom, and they have a Silver Samurai Venom. Wolverine Venom and a Silver Samurai Venom, and they don't interact. I think they're maybe on one panel on opposite sides in the background once. It's ridiculous. You could have done so many great things with this, and I think it might be because it was edited down to nothing, that quick 5 issues, that they decided to just to curtail all of that for just for their quick main storyline, which bummed me the hell out because it could have been so good. This had all the promise in the world.
Yeah.
And it did not deliver.
Absolutely. Everything you said, and I'd even go a little bit further, that the dialogue was written as if it was you, the reader. They sort of wrote the dialogue as if their intended reader was like 10 years old. Because everything felt
fair,
like they were talking down to me every single time.
I will be fair there. We're grown-ass men talking about this, but comics are generally targeted toward, even the more raw ones.
I
are
get
still
that.
generally targeted towards young audiences.
This
towards
is
kids,
the raw one. I mean, there's blood and gore throughout.
Yeah.
You know how young I was when I
thing.
started reading comics with blood and gore and people getting impaled and stuff, man. Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying they should have knew their audience a bit more and aged up their dialogue because I felt kind of offended by it.
All right.
Yeah, this was tugging at my nostalgia like strings, man. Like Maximum Carnage was one of the reasons I started reading Spider-Man, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And that was
Maximum Carnage was
Sega was awesome, dude. But I don't know, man. It was
You guys jazzed for the movie though?
For the Venom movie?
Yeah.
You know what? If they do a good, this honestly kind of deflates some of my enthusiasm for it because this was something I was also excited for. I loved Spider-Verse, and you can't really talk about Venomverse without making allusions to Spider-Verse because it's the same universe, it's a similar premise, it's related characters, and conceptually it's even more badass because Spider-Verse was limited to different Spider-Men, which is cool in itself because we've gotten multiverse Spider-Man before, but they showed the abilities that they have and what's different about them, and that's cool. Armored Spider-Man versus Spider-Man with the arms versus the British Spider-Man, the punk Spider-Man, all types of stuff there. And then Venomverse, which the Venom symbiote isn't just limited to 1 or 2 guys. The Venom symbiote can be anybody. And conceptually, that should have been amazing.
It has the
Let me see
name
Venom Star Fox just seducing people left and right.
It has the name Venomverse on it, and I was expecting more Venom in this. And man, other characters got way more on-page time than Venom.
And that wouldn't be a problem if they did stuff that related to them. Black Panther is the biggest Marvel property now in anticipation of the movie. There is a Venom Black Panther in this. He does nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
If he didn't identify himself once, I wouldn't even know he was Black Panther. Yeah, he has one conversation that's played for laughs. And
it's almost worse that they introduce it as that
punch.
and then they don't do anything.
It's a
They
shame.
just left it out.
Yeah,
You
that's why I'm thinking this may have been edited down, like just hacked to
Sounds like
pieces.
it. Sounds
I'm
like it.
hoping because they will probably do a sequel if this sells well, and I assume it did just on reputation alone. And they allude to a sequel that's going on a larger scale, but I'm hoping that they learn from the mistakes in Venomverse here and really step it up. But when I step it up, I mean at the very least flesh out the story, let it be longer, and let's see more of the abilities and stories of the different characters because it's all interesting. We all want more. We want to read more, and we want to get into this, and they weren't letting us this time. So I'm really hoping for the next venture that they really take care in presenting these characters and give us a story that doesn't seem so slapped together. All right,
Thumbs
so
down.
so bottom line, Herb hated it.
Read Remender's Run. It was the best Venom story in like the last 10 years, man.
It was decent. I'll give it to him.
Hey Herb, you giving a thumbs up or a down?
Oh, Venomverse. I don't know. I mean, if you're bored and you don't have to pay for it, go for it.
That's not an answer, brother.
Oh man.
No, a thumbs down. But
Okay,
if
alright.
you want to waste 20 minutes, skim through it.
I think this is the first ever 3 thumbs down.
3 thumbs down. Damn.
Wow.
Setting records. I wanted to like this so bad. It hurts.
There,
Oh, the pain, Adam. The pain. Oh, it cuts deep. I'm wounded. Oh, right in the taint. All right, so I'm going to kick it over to just Johnny. You,
Yeah.
my friend, had hopefully a better experience checking out Hellblade.
Senua's Sacrifice.
Why can't I pronounce that?
It's a weird Celtic name.
Isn't it Viking? Is it Norse?
So all right, let me just read the wiki entry for this.
Yeah, lay it on. Give us
All
the
right,
goodness.
so inspired by Norse mythology
Can
and
you
Celtic.
read it in a Norse accent? Inspired by Norse mythology.
I can't.
Oh.
Inspired by Norse mythology and Celtic culture, Hellblade follows Senua, a picked warrior who must make her way to Helheim by defeating otherworldly entities and facing their challenges in order to rescue the soul of her dead lover from the goddess Hela.
So she's thirsty.
In parallel, the game acts as a metaphor for the character's struggle with psychosis, as Senua, who suffers from the condition but believes it to be a curse, is haunted by an entity known as the Darkness. Voices in her head known as Furies. That's what the Darkness is.
So it's an allegory for puberty. I see what they're doing.
And memories from her past. All of these things are sort of taunting her and haunting her as you're playing through. And it continues on to properly represent psychosis. The developers who made this game, they worked very closely with neuroscientists, mental health specialists,
Sigmund Freud.
and even people that are suffering from the condition itself. They went full blown as far as research is considered. They went full blown to sort of fully understand how to represent psychosis and these type of mental disorders and represent that in game. So much so that they took sort of the experiences, and you can see this in game because they have one of the option menus is this documentary that they produced, and it's part of the game itself. You can watch this documentary of how they built the game and all the interviews that they did with mental health advisors and the people that are suffering from the condition, and how they worked what those people said, how they worked those elements into actual gameplay elements where there'd be blurring, or it would, at times the graphics would look like you're looking through, like, you know how you had those tubes as a kid they looked through, and it would like create this rainbow diamond pattern, and if you twist
Like a
it,
kaleidoscope.
everything. Yeah, kaleidoscope. Yeah, kaleidoscope effect. Yeah, and tons of other things like that, or the entire world will go completely pitch black, and all you'll see is Senua, and you'll kind of have to like guide yourself through there. There's voices. They actually recommend playing
Are
the
you
game.
sure this is the game? Because it sounds like you had a bad trip.
Well, the game is a bad trip.
Game is
It's
a
a
bad
very,
trip.
very bad trip for the character. It's interesting as all hell.
Well, give us the lowdown, man. How was the gameplay?
All right, so the gameplay is as it's a extremely linear, I would say, adventure game that has melee combat action. It's sort of focused into sort of 3 core elements: melee combat action, environmental puzzle solving, and the whole psychological horror element. And they take that to such an extreme where there's this, where they tell you about, very early on, hey, if you die too many times, guess what? Your save is going to get deleted.
Oh, much like in real life.
Yeah. So, and they tell you that from the start, so that as you're playing through the game, and every time you die, because it is pretty challenging, because the combat is, I'll get into the combat, but it does test you, and as you're dying, they have your right arm has like this black curse. That's how they represent the curse, and it starts to grow up. It's like a ooze almost, and it starts to grow up your arm every time you die more and more, and it starts to creep up. And if it reaches your head, that's it. Your save file is going to get deleted.
It's like this game's version of Psycho Mantis. It's like I'm gonna destroy your saves unless you close it now. Like, is there a way? I mean, I'm gonna assume it's not like that's it. There's a way to get the slime, get the ooze back down your arm. Right? Power ups or something.
Well, I don't know if I want to get into very slight spoiler. It's very slight.
Nah, no spoilers. You've got a nasty habit of spoilers. It's like, I'm not. Okay, fine. Darth Vader is Luke's father. It's a small.
Sorry about that. So, there is that element, and so as I said before, the combat is sort of the fun part of the gameplay that you really want to get into, because combat is pretty fleshed out. It's sort of like a Resident Evil style camera, where it's Resident Evil 4, where it's completely behind your back, looking forward, and it's really tight to your back. So you're seen from right above the shoulder, and every time there's a new enemy that pops up, you're locked on to that particular enemy, and you can flick the stick to sort of switch targets. And you have a dodge button, you have a block and parry button, and then you have a strong attack, weak attack. You can run and charge. There's different movesets you can do, but it's I hate to say it, but it's very reminiscent of the combat of Dark Souls. It's not as complex and nuanced as it, and it is more in a action-friendly type of manner, but it does challenge you. And they throw, instead of Dark Souls, where it's usually a one-on-one affair, this one it's still throw 2 enemies, 3 enemies, 4 enemies at you at the same time, 5 enemies. Melee attacks. So they challenge you in that way, and it's really, really fun. They have a really good combat system in this game, and that's about I'd say about like a third of the game is the combat, and that's the good part. A third of the game, or maybe more, is the puzzle solving, and they seem to have tied too much of the puzzle solving into sort of nailing the psychosis element.
Yeah, I hate it when Tetris did that.
One of the main puzzles is that there's going to be this door that you have to get past. In order to unlock the door, you have to find a shape in the environment. So you're looking through the environment and you're trying to line up different objects like trees or houses or dead bodies or whatever, and you're trying to line them up in the right way so that it recreates the shape that the door tells you to find. And it's really kind of like a look around the environment until you see a bunch of stuff, an indicator that you're near where you need to be, and then start looking around. It's not fun at all. It's not really that interesting. And there are other puzzle elements in this that also aren't that great. It would have been nice if they, I don't know.
Is there a bypass, or is there?
There's no bypass, so you kind of have to go through. Thankfully, it's not super bad, but it's there enough to be like, this again. All right, whatever. I'll just get through it.
That'd be enough to turn me off, man. I remember old games used to do that. Yeah. It's like you'd get to I don't know, a level you have to turn all the lights off in this house or something.
Yeah.
And that would be enough for me to stop playing the game. Like, God forbid it was something I rented. This game, I'm guessing, if you buy it, and you get to that point, you're stuck until you finish.
Yeah, but thankfully the environments aren't so big that you're going to get lost, and it's go through a corridor or go through an environment, get into a fight, then after that solve a puzzle within that environment, and then go through another corridor, get into another fight, solve another puzzle. It's like very formulaic.
Wait, you had
very
good
linear
impressions of this, and now I'm just hearing. It sucked for you.
All right, so it didn't suck. It's the interesting part is the story, is the lore. There isn't really much of a reason to explore, other than there will be like these little stone totem-y things. You go up to it and you focus on it, and then it'll give you lore, like an entire voice-driven lore dump on Norse mythology, and it's telling this actual story in Norse mythology. I'm not familiar with Norse mythology, but my friend is.
Well, this guy named Odin and his son
yeah.
Thor.
Oh yeah, they go into detail about Odin, Thor, other sons and
Loki.
whatnot, and people.
Beta Ray Bill's my favorite Norse.
The one on
Worf,
fire, I
Mr.
forgot his
Lieutenant
name.
Worf.
What's the fire one?
Hades.
Not Hades. There was this fire one, and he's supposed to be like the bringer of the apocalypse or whatever, or the Norse. Sulfur. Close. Something like that, but yeah.
Satan, that's the guy.
Soot. His name is Soot.
His name is Soot.
Yeah.
You can tell I know nothing about Norse mythology.
Well, it ties that in, and then as it's telling those stories, you're starting to see the connection between those stories, the very loose connection between those stories and Senua's story. But it's really about Senua, her story, her psychosis, and sort of overcoming and sort of getting through that strife in order to get to the end game, which is really fantastic. But the game itself, so it is really high production, really beautiful, amazing sound design, amazing graphics, beautiful environments.
Yeah, the aesthetics of this were people raved about them online.
Yeah.
I checked out a video of the mocap, and a lot of care was taken in to making Senua.
Yes.
To making Senua look as realistic as possible. And I didn't get to play it myself, but the videos I saw looked amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's not just like one section of the game that people focused on, the rest looks like crap.
No, the entire game, all the way through. And actually, when you get towards the very end stage of the game, things get so over the top in such a really, really, really good way. And it makes going through the middle part of the game worthwhile. Because the middle part is where this game struggles. It's a little bit too long. Long in the sense that they made it... It's not a long game. You can beat it in like 6 hours. But it's long in that middle chunk is felt like padding to make the game longer. Because if they cut that middle chunk, which was pretty much unimportant for the game, for the most part.
All right, so acknowledging that was put in as just fluff, does that affect your rating for the game?
Oh, it does. Yeah, it definitely does. It can turn off people from... They could see that as like a stopping point or a point where it's like, you play those games and you're like, yeah, I'm enjoying this, but all of a sudden, like another game comes out and you switch to that one, and then you never work up the drive to go back.
Absolutely. Any game where I have to stop the action because I got to farm stuff, or I got to grind for gold, or it becomes like one big fetch quest.
Yeah.
Or no, any game where I have to save NPCs and have them follow me through some kind of like dangerous terrain. I stopped Dead Rising for like months because I couldn't get these a-holes from like the jewelry store across the zombie-filled mall because they updated the AI as games went on because a lot of people had these complaints, but they kept stopping and letting go of the hands. And I'm like, you follow me, I'm here to save your life. There's zombies trying to kill you left and right. This is not the time to window shop.
Yeah.
And then I give them a gun, they'll shoot me.
I would say that is more interesting game design than what this one has.
Oh. Yeah, you are giving me mixed signals here, man.
It's just the game design, it's meant to be a linear game. It's better off being like just combat and then story segments. And like going through and exploring the environment, I can see why they had you controlling those elements to sort of nail home the psychosis elements that they want to do, especially with the puzzle alignment and stuff like that. But it kind of took away, it outstayed its welcome after a certain point of time. And that's what it is. So overall, though, I'm going to give it a thumbs up because this reminded me of games that from a long time ago that just don't get made anymore, like Eternal Darkness, where it really plays on you, but more so instead of you, this one plays on the character, and you're seeing what is going on with the character and just the craziness and how it's admirable that she is able to go through this amount of abuse in so many forms.
I know.
Just to have
From
this
beyond the grave.
Just to have this skull that she's been carrying around of her dead lover. It's a skull. She's carrying around a skull
like
to hell.
Chainsaw?
Like a skull.
Yeah,
She's carrying around.
Is he like on her hip cracking jokes and stuff too? Is that what's
It
going
doesn't talk.
on? Ah,
But it like
Missed
it has
opportunity.
like a bit of the black curse on it, so it's like a little oozy black and nasty. And she's carrying that all the way over to through hell in order to make sure its soul doesn't. I don't want
She's
to get
trying
into
to
spoilers,
save his
but
soul
save his soul
because he was putting it down that good.
Yeah,
When he was
and-
alive,
Yeah.
just contortions and flexing, just all the rug burn
Yeah.
in the world, and just like, all right, never mind.
So it's a mixed bag. Combat's phenomenal. It's not the best, but it's really, really good. And the graphics and the audio design, all those elements are great. It's just it's sad that it has those other elements that are either too long or too padded, or too badly envisioned.
All
But
right, so
overall, it's good.
it was a good effort. It has its failings, a couple of foibles there that could be improved, but overall, good experience.
Yep, and
All
it's
right, cool.
$30 on Steam and PS4.
All right, the game is called Hellblade
Senua's Sacrifice.
Thank you. Oh, even you got it. Show me up. All right, well, I want to thank you all for joining us. This has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I want to remind you all you can catch us every Monday nights right here, or you can catch us at geek-down.com for all the latest and greatest and interviews and reviews and all that stuff. Also, catch us on social media. Find us on Facebook, on Twitter, and you can follow us there. We're also on SoundCloud. If you are watching us on twitch.tv/thegeekdown, you're in the know. If you were just listening to the audio, you can find us right there and see our smiling faces every week. Also, check us out on YouTube and on SoundCloud, or find us on iTunes, and you can subscribe. All of those locations, you search the Geek Down, we're always the first ones to come up. And until then, dude, if you have anything you heard on this show you want to chime in on, you played a game, you saw a movie, you want to talk about it, all that stuff, you read a comic, you want a recommendation, hit us up at geekdownradio@gmail.com. And until next week, we'll catch you all and remind you, be excellent to each other. Peace.